How do you feel knowing that you could predictably, through good systems, get 12 deals a year? You know, that would put you in a very high percentage of agents, right? I've heard recently that roughly 70% of agents nationwide didn't even close a deal last year. So the thing is, okay, how are you going to get to that level that you want to be at where you can predictably make the income that you want, right? 12 deals a year, that would be one a month. That would be a way for you to not only have a business worth having, but a life worth having inside of that you can kind of make and set up your time, right? So what I want to go through today is really kind of the basics, the fundamentals of you building that first step, right? I just taught a class just recently, it was about a week ago, where we were deep diving into database and helping you to really understand what that looks like and how to make sure that you're having that be a business, right? And kind of building around that. Because I know some amazing people, and you might be one of those who is really good at the hunting aspect. The going out there, the finding a new person, taking care of them, showing up in the right way to set yourself apart and help them make their dream come true of buying or selling and do that, right? And if that's you, of course, power to you, right? I think that's a huge component in the hustle and the ability to go out there and become one of the top, right? At the same time, one of the things that I think is very well missed in building a business is the sustainability of having it where you know what's going to come next and be able to go from there. So what we're going to talk about today is a program called the 36 Touch. If you haven't heard of it, it is ultimately more or less your way to market and build relationships with the people that you want to be in a relationship with. And what we're going to do is we're not going to say, hey, go start this with everyone, go build it as big as you can, because I kind of want to start with how do you build it and what does it look like? And I just gave you that number of the 12 deals, 1, 2, right? So it's kind of, okay, if you're going to do that, then the reality is you need 200 people. 200 people in your database that know, like, and trust you will give you 12 deals a year. And the math's pretty simple. Because, if it's 7 to 10 years on average for a human being to buy or sell in-house, right, for that moving and everything, the math works out that 6% of the people that you know will be buying or moving that year. So 200 people divided by 6 means that you have 12 people, not even counting referrals and everything outside of that, who are going to be buying or selling this year, right? With that being the case, you need to be staying in front of them. You need to be building a relationship with them. You need to be in that spot to help those people know you, want to pick up the phone and call you, and help you where they can, right? Well, you help them where you can, right? You're a real estate agent. You chose this as your vehicle to be on this path. So let's talk about this top 200. And let's talk about the 36 Touch, because this is not like your marketing calendar. This is your relationship system to be able to stay in touch with these people. So we're going to break this down today. We're going to go into what should your 36 Touch look like. I'll give you a couple ideas that you can always pick and choose. But I always want to start off with helping you to know, that it's okay just to do that first bit of improvement, right? If you're right now saying, hey, I just started this and I don't have any of this, then I'm going to tell you what ones of these to put in play immediately, right? If you've been started it and do have a little bit going, then the question is, okay, what's that next thing that you can add on to make it where you've improved that much, right? Save this video, come back to it, say, what are those things that I'm missing that will help me continue to get this to the next level? So what we're going to talk about, 36 Touch, right? This 36 Touch is going to help you to build that foundation of building relationships with people. One of the books that I like, and I have it right here, if you haven't ever read it, highly recommend it. It's the 7 Levels of Communication. It is a book based around communicating with people and building a relationship. And in these 7 levels, it talks about how you have two zones. You have one zone is the influential zone, and then the other zone is the informational zone. And with these 36 communication points, right, the 36 touch program for you to be able to stay in conversation with these people, you should have a variety, right? Because, you know, if you're going to be in that influential zone, now they're going to be knowing you more and they're going to build that trust. Whereas you showing that informational zone shows you as the professional and shows that you know what you're talking about. So having both is going to be very important. And the reality is that you need to figure out what ones you're wanting to do, what ones you want to implement, and how you can make it where your system, your CRM helps you do that continuously, right? So we're going to talk about a whole bunch. And I'm going to start with what's really the most important. And it's up there. It's not the highest level, but it's up there on the 7 levels of communication. And it is your quarterly phone call. With these 200 people, if you're going to call them every single quarter, then the reality is, if you do the math, and I'm actually going to type it in. Okay, so you're going to have 15 people that you have to talk with a week. So if there's 200, right, then you call every single week. You're going to have to talk with 15 to 16 people to be able to talk with them on a quarterly basis. That's something that's very manageable if you set it up that way. I really like, it's called the DTD2 method. It's ultimately where you call the people by their last names and you say, hey, I'm going to do 2 letters of the alphabet a week. So there's 26 letters, right? So that's 13 weeks, that's a quarter. So you're going to then have that many people that you talk with on a quarterly basis. The reason this is one of the most important is this is where you build relationships, is with communication, with asking good questions, with coming from curiosity, and, you know, being able to know where they're really at, right? And one of the ways I love doing that is called the Ford method, right? The Ford method is going to be family, occupation, recreation, and then dreams. These are all the different ways in the framework for you to be able to have a good conversation and have it be personal to them by asking good questions, because the person who's asking the questions is in control of the conversation. So ask the good questions, understand where they're at. And the crazy part is with all of those, right? Family, it's going to be pretty easy to know if something happened, you know, that there's going to be a change, right? A new addition, something to celebrate. Do they need more space? All right. Divorce, right? Are they going to need to separate with some of those assets, right? Occupation. Whenever you ask how work's going for them, the common response is for them to ask how work is going for you. Gives you an opportunity to kind of quickly jump into that, right? Recreation, right? Things that they love, where they live, and that kind of aspect. Dreams. People love to invest and grow, right? So those are those things that if you do right, you can set it up in so many ways to have a natural conversation. Check in like a human. Be that person who cares and wants to be in that right spot for the people, you know, that you should be in touch with. So those 200 people are the start. Those 4 phone calls are the first 4 communication points that I would say should be on your schedule. So even if right now, boom, this is as far as you got on this video and you're like, that's what I'm going to do, Taylor, great, right? Those right there will help you go a lot farther and build the relationships a lot deeper by reaching out and talking with people. So the next one that I like, and this is more of an easy button, I feel like, is your 12 market update emails, right? This one takes a huge portion of the 36 touch. It is something that is easy to set up as long as you build it in your CRM. If you're in the KW command, there's a neighborhood monthly market email that you can use. If you're not, there's so many AI tools, and you can basically just have it be where you're telling about what's going on in the market, because people like to know what's going on. So having it be where you are keeping people up to date. Of course, the more statistical you get, you might only be going to certain nerds, right? And, you can always do it more in a story base as well. But this is that whole way of creating 12 touches of communication to help people really understand that and be in the right spot. So that's, 12 plus 4, that's 16. So the great part is you're almost halfway done, right? The next big one that I would do in this day of age is social media, right? And this is where there's a few different ways that you can do this. So if you do a minimum of one form of connection every single month, if that's a DM, if that's a reaction to a story, if that is, sending somebody something that stood out to you and sending it their way, congratulating on a comment on something that happens in their life. If you can do one of those a month to each person in those 200, then they're going to be staying in connection and being that much more built to seeing what you're doing in your life, right? And if you are closing deals and showing what you're doing as a real estate agent, now they know and are reminded that that's what you're doing. So this is not just posting content. This is the actual connection is what I want you to focus on this point of really being in that spot, right? And being there for them in their life circumstances. So that's 12 more, right? Now 12 plus 4 plus 12. All right, we're now 28. We're almost all the way there. But I do want to focus on that social side one more time. Depending on what platform you use, a lot of them have some form of favorite functionality or some form of functionality that allows you to create a group that you can watch, which will make your life easier. Because if you're a bit like me, then you might start doom scrolling, right? You're going to click on it, you're going to go in, and you're just going to start scrolling and scrolling. So if you're purposeful and have that time where you now know, hey, I'm going to go to that group or go to, that you create, you can then go looking at those people's of what they're doing and liking, commenting, and doing that more purposefully, faster, so that you can take care of the things that you need to in your time and build that relationship in that level, right? So those are those ones, right? The next one I would say is doing 4 personal text messages, right? So once a quarter, kind of interesting. But again, if you have this be where they're around maybe events that you're doing, or if this is going to be around just when you think of people, right? And thinking of people could be a system where a reminder comes up and you're like, I thought of them. I always love the whole doing a social, not a social, but a video just to them. Saying, hi, so-and-so, right? I was just thinking of you, right? That's a fun one. You don't get very many videos just personally to you, right? You could do just text messages, or I've been loving right now a lot of the audio messages and just reaching out. Share something with gratitude. Have it be where, you had a question that came up. Had it be just something that, it could be anything, but have it be personal and relationship oriented, because the goal is relationship first, right? Opportunities come after. Opportunities come because you're in a relationship. And if you can be in a relationship and not be a secret agent, then people will know and ask you the questions when they come up. So that's that one, right? Personal text messages. How, where, and what can you do to make that work at that level, right? The next one, so that right there brings us up to 32. So the next one I would say is if you can, pull it off, do 2 events, right? This can be an event that's a pop by, so you doing something cute. This can be Pie Day, right? Have it where you have pies, you call everyone up and give pies to everyone. Having it where you do photos with Santa, Easter egg event. The list goes on. And right now in this day and age, you can of course ask any AI tool and be like, hey, knowing me, what's an event that I should be doing that I'll be excited to do, but it'll be fun to then get more people there, right? I used to be very much doing movie nights. I would have it be where I'd rent the theater, invite all the people in my database and have them come and we'd watch one of the adventure movies, right? What is it that you're wanting to do to make sure to be in that spot and have the opportunity to, again, connect more with those people. The nice part with event is a lot of events, you get that one-on-one of seeing them for a short second. So if you can then do that, you instantly build more influence and more rapport with people when you can do that. So a great way. The last one that I'd have on here, and the thing is, there's so many variations that we'll talk about. I'm going to do a deep dive into a whole bunch of different ideas that you can do, but I wanted you to build that 36 and what it should look like and build upon it. But the last one I have is written down as 2 handwritten notes. And just think about it. When was the last time that you got a handwritten note, right? That you got something that said, hey, it was so fun talking with you. I'm grateful that you were able to help me out with this, or, hey, congratulations. I think that's a word, right? Something like that. So, way to go on doing this, anything, but having it where you do it in that way, it could also just be for different special moments. It could be a home anniversary or a birthday. I always just love gratitude messages, right? It's a great way to not only bring joy to people around you, but be there in that way. So, right, that is the process. That's 36 for you. So you can kind of have that down. I will have all of those written down in the comments, so you can kind of have that in there. I'll also have a link for the 7 levels of communication if that's something you'd want to get. But yeah, really, let's kind of start here, start now. Let's build that foundation. Because by you doing that, being consistent on that part of your business and life, you will be amazed at the gates that open up and flow towards you, because you have the foundation of a good relationship system to be in relationship with more people at a higher level. And as long as you show up the way that I know you can, you'll be there in that spot. So build your top 200 list, schedule your first quarterly call, get that going, and what your rhythm is there. Make those first 10 calls, make those 15 that you need to do for this week, right? Have it be where you're getting in that rhythm. The next thing, start setting people up on their market update. Have it so that they get that, they'll see your name, they'll remember that you're in real estate, and that will help, right? And like I said previously, save this video, circle back to it when you can, make sure to refine your process and keep on getting it better. And, let's make this the business worth having, the business that you want. And as always, I'm here to help you get farther faster with the right systems and tools than you could on your own. So appreciate you. Have a good one.